So Kerim here is the CEO of Modaniza, which is a fashion, conservative halal fashion website based in Turkey. Now, obviously, he's benefited a lot from the textile industry in Turkey, and he's one of the leading companies here in this industry. Over 120 countries worldwide in terms of reach. That's pretty impressive. Mr. Hamid Jafari is the co-founder and editor of TechRasa, which is an Iranian tech and media startup. So I'd like to begin here, Kerim. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself and what led you to do business in these sectors?
We established Modaniza in 2011 to serve Muslim women with providing them modest fashion choices. And we started from Turkey, and then in 2-3 years, we have reached to 120 countries worldwide. Now we have more than 300 brands, some of them from Turkey, some of them from Egypt, some of them from Dubai, putting them together and curating that content into different geographies and attracting more than 100 million visitors per year to our site and selling more than 27,000 different items at modaniza.com.
That's, the halal industry obviously is something that is often overlooked, and specifically conservative fashion. Now, you were telling me earlier that the halal fashion industry had reached $500 billion, was it?
It's like the total industry is around $500 billion, like including shoes and everything, like modest clothing and any other clothing. But if you talk about specifically on modest clothing, it's around $50 billion per year all around the world.
Now, obviously, this was so financially lucrative that even Dolce & Gabbana got into the abaya line recently.
Absolutely. So not only them, even H&M and Nike is tapping the market.
I heard even Armani wants to get into the business as well. So you're in direct competition with them. This is wonderful. Moving on, however, to Hamid Jafari, tell us a bit about what you do and why you chose this industry.
Yeah, so our business is basically a website. So it's called TechRasa.com. TechRasa is a tech and startup media, and it's in English, covering the tech and startup scene in Iran. So that means we write articles, we have podcasts, videos, different kinds of content. We also do market research. We interview entrepreneurs inside Iran, and we're shedding a spotlight on the ecosystem. And we're also doing consultancy, helping foreign companies that want to come to Iran, invest on a startup here, or start their own venture.
Well, we're obviously talking to the youth today, and as our previous speaker was talking, the need for social responsibility and engaging with communities is now more essential than ever. So in this respect, when you began your business, did you have any idea beyond the financial side of giving back to the communities around you?
Actually, the volunteer work is something that led me to this. And I'm going to tell you guys about it. It might be inspiring for you. So a few years ago, I was doing some projects related to tech, related to startups. I don't want to call them like startups because they were more like projects that didn't lead to really, I couldn't monetize some of them. But I was doing some projects, doing freelance work, and then a friend of mine came to Iran and he was like, Hamid, I heard about this startup event in Tehran, let's go see it. We went there, we didn't know there was a startup community in Iran, we didn't know there was startup events happening. This is around like 4 years ago. So we went there, we were in a room that we felt that the people there are actually smarter than us. So we thought, okay, so we are at the right place here. So we got more engaged with the community. Later, I found out about Iran Entrepreneurship Association, an NGO spreading the entrepreneurial activities in Iran. So I got, me and my friends, we got involved with that community. We did volunteer work. We helped them organize a couple of events. we held a startup weekend event in Tehran in Sharif University, and through that event, I met some amazing people there. They really changed my perception of this whole entrepreneurship stuff. And I met my co-founders there. And it was in 2014, 15. And as you may recall, in 2015, the JCPOA agreement, the nuclear agreement, as you may know it, that happened. And then everyone was looking into the Iranian market. It was like a gold mine. I mean, they wanted to tap into this market. And we inside Iran, we didn't know what was going on. And we thought, okay, this black box, we need to expose it. Of course, people outside of Iran don't know what is going on. So we decided to start this media. I mean, and we thought to ourselves, okay, let's start in English. Why not? So we started as a simple blog. We wrote articles every few days. It was a side job. A few months after, we were getting like tons of emails from Iranians who had been living abroad for decades, or foreigners that wanted to know more about the Iranian market. So we thought, okay, this cannot be a side job anymore. We should focus on this, and this should be a primarily thing. And then a few months after, we started consultancy and market research later.
Now, I'm really happy you mentioned this element of social facilitation, of facilitating business, because it's a concept that comes up quite often, the role of unemployment of youth, and how do we solve this by promoting entrepreneurship. But we rarely so often talk about connecting youth or connecting people to the means of business and to the knowledge itself. I'm a proud business owner, and nobody showed me the ropes. Nobody told me this is where you go, this is how you do it. Rather, culturally, it's more often, why are you doing business? It's a shameful thing. Go study, go get a degree, become an engineer, and so on. And Iran has faced a lot of challenges in this, not only on the cultural side, but you mentioned the nuclear agreement. There was a rush to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fighting with instability, economic instability for the past at least 4 decades. I mean, in 1980, we had the Iran-Iraq war, where Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, and he had the support of the international community. Later, we had the sanctions, the harsh sanctions. And a funny thing is, I don't know, some of the audience might know about this, we're not connected to the international payment systems the way you think about it. I mean, we don't have credit cards, we don't have MasterCards in Iran, we don't have PayPal, everything in Iran is local. I mean, I traveled to Istanbul, I brought cash with me, actually.
A briefcase of cash, I hope.
No, I'm an entrepreneur, it takes...
I'm happy you raised this, though, because in ease of doing business index worldwide, Iran ranks 180, which is rather low. For example, in terms of just receiving credit for your business, you're around 101. And let's compare this to Turkey here, which ranks 69. Relatively ease of financing and registration of business, more difficulties closing businesses, but there is a promotion of entrepreneurship. Now, I'd like to learn from your experiences towards the youth in this regard. Obviously, Iran was such a difficult challenge in beginning business and working internationally, and Turkey still faces these challenges to a certain extent. What would you say to the youth that have an idea, they want to go forward with it, but they have not yet taken that step?
What I can say first is, if they want to serve to a market, they need to hear the pain. What is needed? Because we are good at copycatting, like copying other people, but we are not touching to the real need. When we started Modernisa, I was talking to friends and families, and they were talking about it's not easy to find clothes, modest clothes. And I see some people buying two short sleeve shirts, and making one long sleeve out of that. That was the pain. And I was trying to help the women to give them what they deserve, because they deserve to look good regardless of their faith. This is the thing. And I said that this is unfair, when even in Turkey it's 98% 8% of the population is of the Turks are Muslim, but it was not easy to find modest clothes, even in Turkey. And I said, this is unfair. And every woman needs to, has to have the chance to look good. That was the pain, and that's how I started to do business. Not only make money. It was, the pain was there, and somebody has to solve it. First, I go to the textile manufacturers. I try to convince them, hey, mister, this is the pain. You need to produce some stuff for the ladies, for the modest ladies. And they said, oh, for internet, they don't buy. Our crowd doesn't buy anything on internet, they said. That was their belief. And I said, okay, I will do it if you give me your inventory. They didn't reject me twice. Then they give their inventory. That's how we started Modernisa. Do something unique is like first hear the pain and then do something unique, bring something new to the market.
Now, Kerim, obviously there's a lot of misconception about the halal conservative fashion industry. And this is one I'd like to clarify for myself. Is it just for women? I mean, do you have like capes for men or is it just a woman
thing?
It's
only for women. It's Modernisa means like moda is fashion, nisa is women in Arabic.
What about halal fashion or Islamic fashion for men? Is this a thing yet?
Not my style. Oh, yeah. It's not also the pain because like men can find whatever they want. Like they can have jackets.
They can wear anything.
They can have tops, whatever they find. We are here to serve to an unserved market. That was the women's side.
Well, there might be an unserved market in the men's side, but good to know, good to know. Now, just a show of hands, how many youth here have startups or businesses? Show of hands, please. Okay. How many are thinking to start businesses in the next 2 years? Quite a fair number, quite a fair number. That's great. Now, moving back, however, to your consultancy, which obviously links people generally to business in Iran. This is a multinational business initiative, obviously. Do you feel that youth startups in Iran focus too much on the national side, or do they actually reach out beyond?
They are actually mostly targeting the local market, but that is changing with the recent changes since President Rouhani came to office. He's been really supportive of the entrepreneurial activities in Iran. And the internet infrastructure has got much better. I mean, I can tell you guys that internet penetration in Iran is around 82%. We have 41 million mobile internet users. And in terms of social media, Instagram is the most popular social media with 20 million users. So much is changing in Iran. Startups are now trying to target the international market despite the sanctions. We have startups in Iran that are operating inside the country in Tehran, but they have offices in neighboring countries, in Turkey, in Armenia, or even in Europe, and with the money transaction and doing contracts, they're using their branch in another country.
Now we're talking here about capacity building of youth in terms of doing business. Yeah. And this is a theme that's repeated not only in youth conferences, but even on ministerial level conferences. I'm a senior manager in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, and developing entrepreneurial skills is always a priority. But we always talk about the mismatch between education and the necessities of the market. Now, in Iran, you had very unique conditions, not only the sanctions, but even Instagram was taboo for a while. Everybody was using VPNs, if I'm not mistaken.
I should know, Instagram was never blocked in Iran. Facebook and Twitter are blocked, but the government is trying to, lift this. They don't want it to be blocked anymore. And Instagram is open, and people are actually, really active on social media.
Okay, let's identify 3 soft skills or 3 areas that youth need to develop themselves in to succeed in the financial or entrepreneurial world. I just said right now that there are some skills that are missing in our basic education and development. Kerim, what do you think?
First, I say is the courage. You need to be courageous. Like if you believe something in your heart, follow it. It will lead you somewhere. You start walking with it, and God will lead you the way. Believe in you is the first thing. We don't have it. Like we are all looking to the Western markets, looking what is successful and trying to copy it. And the second thing is the creativity comes with it. Like if you believe in your creativity and if you believe in yourself, you have the same brains, you have the same capacity, but we need to use it. We need to also educate our kids with you can do it, you can invent it. Like in Turkish, we have a saying, icat çıkartma, do not invent. It's literally, you say to the kids in Turkey, like if they want to do something in a different way, we tell to the kids, do not invent something. We need to also adapt
Follow
our
the
culture
tradition,
to the new world.
The literacy rate in Iran is over 80%, but that's not enough to become an entrepreneur. I mean, university is not going to teach you stuff to make your your next idea happen or your next startup happen. You need to read books, listen to podcasts, find mentors. That's one of the one of the most important things there. I myself, I had a couple of mentors, and the mentors that you can use, these people could be the diaspora, the expats, the people who had lived abroad. They have worked in really great companies in Europe, in North America, and now they're coming back to their home countries. The Turkish people, many of them live in Germany and they're really successful. Iranians, a lot of them live in Silicon Valley, and they're really successful. And they're
Uber, right?
Uber, yes.
I had no idea. Apparently, the founder of Uber was
actually no, the CEO. The CEO of Uber is an Iranian. His name is Dara Khosrowshahi. He was born in Tehran, and he was raised in an entrepreneurial family, and he's working there. We have a lot of these people living abroad. We need them to come back, to give back to the community, and help us grow our ecosystems, whether in Tehran, whether in Istanbul. We should work on this.
Now, I'm happy you mentioned this because I feel a lot of the youth here feel it's very difficult to engage with established businesses and ask them for advice and ask them for mentorship. Now, you're obviously business owners now that are established. Would you mind if youth came up to you and said, hey, advise me on so-and-so. I don't know how to start a business. How do I start with this?
I would be more than happy to help them, but they need to do their studies first. I mean, you should study the game. You should Google some stuff, and then when you're prepared, everything is ready, come to us and then ask your questions. We would be more than happy to help you, and if we can mentor you in a specific
Let's focus again on the theme of building novel businesses. Aside from the traditional structure of registering a company, finding a client base, developing a specific product to meet that demand, what do you think should be done differently in these times? We've been talking about artificial intelligence, big data, social responsibility. Is business changing, especially with the millennial population coming up now?
Kerim talked about the copycats. I want to tell you guys something. I don't think having copycats at this stage would be a problem for us. Actually, I don't want to call them copycats, but I want to call them equivalents of the successful startups in Europe and Silicon Valley. You don't need to make the next big startup here in your country, the next innovative one. There are a lot of gaps in our markets right now. I mean, you can just take an example, a successful startup in Europe, in California, and just implement it in your country with your own cultures. This is what is happening in Iran. For example, we don't have Amazon in Iran, it's American, but we have DigiColor, the biggest success story of Iran. And this company is worth, it's estimated to be worth 750 million euros. And you can order products, get it 4 hours later, and it employs thousands of employees, and it's really successful. We don't have Uber in Iran. Funny thing is the CEO is Iranian American. We don't have Uber in Iran, but we have Snap. And it has, I think the latest statistics I have, they have over 50,000 drivers in Iran.
I'd like to focus on one final point. We're here in a conference that promotes interconnectivity and cooperation across national boundaries, regardless of sect and then the rest of it. Now, you both started companies in your respective countries, yet you're branching out, and this would have required translation or generally changing the message and tone to different people. Now, Kerim, your Turkish audience was your primary customer base here. Are you changing this in any way? And please link this to the youth here. I mean, when they're developing products, should they think of their specific surroundings or think of things that serve the greater cause and the regions at large?
Today at Modernisa, 75% of our customers are from international markets.
That's amazing.
From 120 countries. And I strongly suggest, I beg the entrepreneurs to think about the global market, at least the region, at least.
I mean, you're targeting the Iranian market too.
Absolutely. Like in Iran, think about it. Like we cannot make a Google advertising or Facebook advertising. They don't have credit cards, but we are there. We are trying to find a way. And we are the first one in the world who integrated the shut-up payment system of Iran into our payment methods. We need to find ways to connect to each other. We need to restart the trade between each other again. We need to restart the connections, just like this forum. We need to talk to each other as entrepreneurs and help each other. And we need to target not only our markets, our neighbors and our Muslim countries, or it doesn't have to be Muslim. Like if you have a meaningful product, you can sell it anywhere in the world. Today, it's global. A Dutch man can buy something from China and sell it in Saudi Arabia without touching something. Why we don't do that? Our grandfathers are skillful merchants, buying stuff from China on the camel and bringing it to Istanbul, then to Europe. We need to reinvent our strong points.
Thank you, Kerim. Obviously, the ultimate goal of regional integration begins with economic trade flows increasing between nations. But regardless, thank you so much for your insight. Let's give them a wonderful round of applause, and thank you for having us.